Em Rusciano and Michael Lucas.
You have been warned, it is Giggle Fest 2020.
This is Emsolation.
Are you being discriminated against now because your name's Karen?
Like, a dickhead's a dickhead no matter what.
Mustimo went from zero to kidnap very quickly.
It's not socially acceptable to go out without your pants on. We've all accepted the fact that pants are necessary.
You're in Emsolation.
Yeah, well, I've booked the hotel out, bitch. Come at me. I've got big balls. Hello, darlings. Welcome to Emsolation. Well, are we on the 2 weeks to go, Melbourne? Nikki with the good hair, our Deputy Health Medical Officer, said, don't count your chickens, but I'm counting them. I'm dressing them. I'm taking him out for an Easter bonnet parade. Please. May there only be 2 weeks left. Look, today's episode, I kind of decided over the weekend there was a couple hard things I wanted to talk to Michael about. And so often when I'm going to process things, chew them up, swallow them down, have them digest well, I go to Michael. And I thought I'll just record the conversation. So obviously over the weekend, very sad news in the passing of Chadwick Boseman, who played Black Panther, among many other things. And it had a real, as it did on a lot of people, it had a real profound effect because at the moment it kind of feels like there's a lot of death around. And he was someone that seemed so powerful and healthy, and it kind of reminds you that it's coming for everyone eventually, and it doesn't matter how healthy you appear, there's other things going on. So I wanted to kind of talk to Michael about death. I wanted to have a meaningful chat about it because I don't think we do that enough. I think people who are, over 60, over 70 think about it and talk about it, but I don't think people between 20 and 40 talk enough about it. I think that a lot of us, and I'm definitely guilty of this, you don't want to think about it because it's depressing. But I think if we did think about it more and treated it with more reverence, that we'd live better. But anyway, you'll hear that with Michael. And we also talk about Adele's in some hot water because of a photo she put up today. She's been accused of cultural appropriation. I wanted to talk to Michael about the whole idea of cultural appropriation and break it down. For those of you who aren't really sure why it's not okay to wear a Jamaican bikini or put your hair in dreadlocks or she put her hair in Bantu knots, which is an African hairstyle that African women have worn, and a lot of people still don't get it. And even reading through the comments, people are like, oh, she means well, but sometimes good intent isn't enough. So I wanted to have a really good chat with Michael about cultural appropriation. And again, it's just me working through stuff. You probably already know why cultural appropriation is what it is. And then just to really lighten the mood, we talk more about the hysteria around Dan Andrews announcing that he wants 12 more months of state of emergency. We do end a bit on Brad Pitt's Love Life, and I've found this new show, you guys. Oh, my God, it is so good. Wait to hear about it. It involves a lady bounty hunter. How's that for a tease? You'll be happy to know I finished The Roof. Roof trauma be gone. I've got my own little space now. It's where Odie's doing schoolwork at the moment, but it's just there's a bed up here now for when Michael and Adrian come and stay, when Joel and Jack come and stay. It's so nice now. People can come out here like it's a bed and breakfast. I do live out in the bush. So I felt like I'd really accomplished something. I filled a skip. For those of you who know, you're getting old when a skip causes excitement. When it arrived, I clapped and cheered like a schoolgirl. So the skip is full. The roof is clean. The front yard's been done. Scott mowed. And the last kind of frontier is I need to do my bedroom. So I'm planning that in 2 weeks' time when we're out of lockdown 4, it's the new me. It's like you could have an episode of Better Homes and Gardens at my house. By then, that's my goal. To be ready to hit whatever stage we happen to be in, stage 3.5, organised. God knows it'll only last a week, but anyway. Enjoy it all. I'm so glad you all seem to get a bit of a kick out of Friday's ep, our 50th episode celebration. It was so fun putting it together. God, we're ridiculous. And thank you for all your lovely messages saying how much you've enjoyed it and that it's been helping you get through if you're in Melbourne and just other states. You're just enjoying the banter. All right, that's enough from me. Pre-warning, as I said, this is a not heavy yet, but we bite off a big bit of kind of steak and chew it up between the two of us and hope you get something out of it. Play the music.
Em Rusciano and Michael Lucas. This is Emsolation.
Okay, well, we have a lot to discuss. Michael Lucas. Goodness.
It does feel like a long time since the last time we did a podcast. I don't know why. Maybe at the time slowing down.
No, but so much has happened. I don't know. So obviously, I mean, the big news over the weekend was the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman, aka Black Panther. His most well-known role, but in many other incredible films. And you were the person to tell me, and that is so often the case in our friendship. Sometimes I'll see text message from you and I'll be like, oh God, who is it? Yeah. Because you have broken most of the celebrity deaths to me.
Well, I'm not sure this is a role I particularly want to play.
I know.
Although there probably is tragically this horrible part of me that's thinking, I wonder if I bet Chella. Although she probably steers clear of that.
No, you did beat her on this one, and she was sad. We have watched Black Panther, I think, probably we went through a real phase with it, as my family does with movies. We watched it once a week for months. We just loved it so much, and everyone loved it. And the fact that he was sick for so long and continued to work. And even the director of Black Panther came out today, Ryan Coogler, and said he had no idea during the filming that he was sick and didn't know he was sick until he died.
And not just worked. I mean, we all saw him in that suit. That kind of workout that he must have been doing in that period of time. I don't know. I can't do it now and I'm at full health, let alone if I was going through some sort of chemo or something.
I know, but it was really... It really hit hard, and I guess because of everything that's been going on, and obviously today, you know, record amount of deaths in Victoria. 43 people died overnight, and
no, they didn't die overnight. There was
it wasn't overnight.
No. It was a backlog of 3 weeks that they accumulated. It was 19 in the past 24 hours.
That's still a lot.
It's still a lot. Yeah, it's terrible
because you know we so cavalierly report the deaths, but you've got to remember. That's 19 funerals. That's 19 lots of families that are bereaved. That's 19, you know, like I think. Oh,
and 19 painful funerals. 19 funerals where families weren't able to be with their loved one and now they're only allowed like a handful of people there. It's horrible.
I think we can so easily turn our emotions off when we get the numbers and forget that the number of deaths, they're human people. They're people that, you know, someone loved and lives they impacted on. And I just think... And when I heard that Chadwick had died, it made me feel like, and I said to Scott, it makes me feel like death has come in closer into our kind of consciousness and death feels closer. Even though I'm 41 and healthy, I realise that we don't have enough meaningful conversations around death until we get older. I think old people do. I think they're more philosophical about it. But I think people, you know, between 20 and 40, we don't ever have meaningful conversations about death until it's forced on us.
Yeah. It's a strange cultural thing. But even when close family members have died and everything like that, it's fascinating how... I don't know, for some people their instinct is to step closer to it and be a part of it, and for other people there's a real reticence to, I don't know, to extend themselves to, I don't know, to look death in the face, frankly. I feel like sometimes it's easy through most of our lives to sort of live in a state of denial about death until something like this happens, that it just forces itself into your view.
Don't you think collectively we would live better lives if we had better conversations about death? Like, don't you think the quality of our lives would improve if we stopped living like it was infinite?
Oh, no question. But I feel like, I mean, I had the sort of slightly unusual experience of, you know, my dad dying from a long, long disease. This is such a cheerful stuff.
No, I think it's.
It changed my life. It changed my life. Absolutely.
Good. I can measure it. Yeah.
I can measure. Well, I mean, the main thing was like, you know, obviously my personal life, when he got sick, he was sick for about 7 years and the last sort of 3 particularly severely. And, yeah, I mean, I just realised, God, you really are not here forever. It's going to end. And you can't sort of spend the rest of your life thinking, I wish I'd said this thing to that person, or I wish I'd behaved this way, or I wish I'd tried this or whatever. So I really, it shifted my priorities. And even though obviously I wish he had never gotten that illness and I wish he was still alive now, you know, the benefit, I guess, that's come out of it for me is that it did made me aware of mortality and made me aware of, you know, don't wait to do the things or to be the person that you've that you hope and think you could be, but for whatever reason you think you've got time, you might not.
I know, and we all do it. I've had the privilege, and it is a privilege to be at the end of life of a couple people that I love dearly, and it's a strange, and you were there for your dad. It's that strange kind of limbo of it's peaceful, it's devastating, it's life affirming, it's all the things, and I need to stay closer to that in my everyday life, I realised. And I don't know, when I heard about Chadwick, it all came into me.
Also with Chadwick, it's about realising that he's known this for 4 years and has been battling this. And also now retrospectively going back and looking at the way he lived his life and how meaningful everything was that he did in that time. And when you go back, there's that clip that's circling around where Jimmy Fallon has brought in super fans to explain what Black Panther means to them, and then once they're at the crescendo of explaining it, he surprises them with Chadwick, and he is just so gracious and really he's just taking in the moment so much. And when you think to yourself, he was battling with colon cancer that whole time.
I do have a life, but I saw it 4 times. I saw it once with my girlfriend. Also, I want to thank you for having your suit on for most of the movie, because when your chest was out, she was getting a little excited and I felt insecure, so thank you for that. And it means a lot to see a movie that's not like a black movie, but it's just a great American superhero movie with people that look like me, so thank you. Okay. What's going on, bro? I'm glad that you got your muscles covered again. I'm glad that you got your muscles covered, because if you would have been all brolic and stuff, it would have been weird, because my girl would have seen it and be like, why didn't you get his number? So I'm glad.
Well, for me, as the mother of a young son, my son's childhood has been defined by Barack Obama and now Black Panther, so thank you.
That's way too much praise. Barack Obama.
No.
You are gorgeous. Gorgeous family.
But I think maybe because he knew his time was limited, there was no bullshit. He didn't fuck around. Do you know, and everything he savoured, he seemed to be someone who savoured everything, and everything he did had this levity, had this gravitas about it, and now I understand why. And I watched him explain how he was communicating with kids who had cancer during the filming of Black Panther, and one little boy wrote to him and said, I'm trying to hang on until the film comes out, but he sadly passed away. And to watch that now, knowing he at the time knew that he had terminal cancer, it's just extraordinary. It's incredible to me that he was able to continue on doing all the things that he did. And
I suspect part of the reason he didn't go public with it was because of like those kind of encounters like that where he's meeting people and everything. He didn't want it to be filled with all this baggage of people being so careful about how they responded to him. I suspect that he probably just wanted to be able to, have all of these moments with people and live life without having to deal with all of that in the time that he had left.
Do you think he also wanted to protect the legacy of Black Panther? Do you think he only wanted people to look at Black Panther and that character and how much it gave young black kids representation through the eyes of, superhero, not through the eyes of an incredible actor with cancer portraying? Do you think he didn't want to
maybe. I mean, it was such a triumphant kind of
a
period of time, having that sort of first black superhero become such a sensation around the world. And it would have cast a different filter over the whole thing.
It would have. Well, I mean, apparently they've already filmed Black Panther 2 and it's coming out in 2022. So that is going to be phenomenal. That's going to be some kind of, I don't know, very emotional, massive. I'm glad they got another one filmed. I didn't know that. I didn't know they had. They kept that very secret.
No. Apparently, me too. I mean, it'll be intense watching that now.
Oh, gosh. I know, even just putting on that song, that Kendrick Lamar song with Zah. Oh, yeah. The one that plays at the closing credits. This one. 'Cause maybe tonight then my tears might let me know. Anyway, moving on to something funner. Adele's been done for cultural appropriation. Yeah.
Proud to say, was I the first person to send you this one as well?
Yeah, and officially, if we're doing the pop stars having problematic episodes, I think she's the final domino to fall. I think that is pretty much all the white pop women that we love have done something a little bit problematic.
Because she was always so wonderfully self-aware and sort of deferential to Beyonce in particular. Even recently, how she was sort of, photographed herself watching Black is King and everything. It felt like she was never going to put a foot wrong there.
No, but she has. And it's so complicated, the idea of cultural appropriation. And it's so easy for white people to sit back and go, I don't get it. I'm not being racist. I'm just like, it's just a costume. It's just like...
Well, explain what she did first. It was a...
Okay, so there's a picture of Adele that she's posted on her Instagram. And bear in mind, every time Adele posts something, the world stops. And she doesn't post often. She's probably averages about 5 posts a year, maybe even less.
Yeah.
So basically what we've all been talking about, rightly, wrongly, is the weight loss. That has been just huge. And I didn't think we'd be able to usurp the weight loss chat, but she has managed to do that. She's popped a picture up of herself. It's the Notting Hill Carnival, and that was started in 1959 as a Caribbean street festival in response to the 58 race riots. And it was a way to celebrate Caribbean culture, and it attracts millions and millions of visitors. This year, obviously, because of Corona, it's gone virtual. And she's got a picture of herself there in a bikini, in a Jamaican bikini, and her hair is in Bantu knots, which is an African hairstyle. It's basically where the hair's all separated into sections and plaited and then wrapped around into tight knots. Rihanna very recently has done it, and it's a hairstyle that African women have worn for years. It's a cultural hairstyle, and Adele, wearing a Jamaican bikini top, put her hair in that, and oh, Michael.
Just one image. I mean, it was just fascinating watching it land, because when I first saw it, it had been up for about 2 minutes, and then I checked in 10 minutes later, she was the number one trend all over the world.
When I saw Adele was trending, I couldn't, and then you texted me and I was like, oh God. Okay, that's why. I thought maybe she'd just put up another picture. I mean, don't worry. As you get past the cultural appropriation, the weight loss is at the bottom of every article. Don't worry, guys. Like it's not like that's been completely forgotten. But she still hasn't deleted the post. I'm just looking now. It's so far had 52,000 comments.
She looks incredibly like Katy Perry as well.
Yeah, Katy Perry did the same thing, didn't she? So I guess let's just chat about cultural appropriation, all right? Because it is something that it's a term that it gets thrown around a lot, and it's something that has been happening, especially for parents with kids who want to dress up in certain ways, and that's been a big topic of conversation. When I was in breakfast radio, when Moana first came out, there was a whole controversy around little white girls wanting to dress as Moana. And, I remember vividly one mother darkened her daughter's skin and got a lot of flack for it. She's like, I don't understand. She's just showing her love for Moana. Why is this a bad thing? And I think a lot of people, Michael, still don't understand the big deal about cultural appropriation, don't you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's complicated, and especially, it's completely conceivable that someone sort of treads their way into it thinking, but I love this performer or this movie, and I'm just trying to celebrate it, and how could that be a bad thing? I'm making them a hero.
So look, you're good at correcting me when I do things wrong. So I'm just going to have a go at explaining to maybe some people, some emsolators who, I feel like I'm pretty confident that most people that listen to us, that follow us, that love us would get why Adele dressing up like that is problematic. But, and we should also point out, a lot of Jamaican people have defended her. She's not been totally condemned.
Totally. Yeah. And a lot of them are, no doubt, this festival is very important to them. They love it. Yes. It's a great time of year. And the notion that the most famous woman next to the Queen in the UK is such a loud and proud supporter of it. I can definitely see how there would be a group of people there that would think it's wonderful that she's doing this.
So, right. Cultural appropriation 101. White people, we're the most visible culture. And I'm trying to do this in a way that's not going to get me
It's so delicate.
If we take things from a culture that has experienced repeated and prolonged oppression, aka anyone who is Black, Indigenous, or a person of colour, it kind of reinforces the ideas of the colonisation that probably happened to those cultures where white people came in and took what they wanted. And
How you going? You doing okay? Going well? You haven't fallen into any particular dangerous territory so far. Keep going.
And also, in the example of Adele, for instance, throughout history, Black women have faced opposition, aggression, and ridicule over their natural hair, over their afro, over the braids, over the Bantu knots. And when a white woman does it, it's just a fun costume and it's fine. So the idea is you can't step in and out of a culture because you can't understand what has happened to that culture by putting on a costume, because it's reducing the culture and the oppression and the struggles to a silly costume. And that's not okay. So while your intent might be, I am honouring this person, I love this person, that doesn't excuse the ideas behind the representation, behind the costume you're taking. As a white person, you're cherry picking something and you're able to then take that off and never having to experience racism or oppression because you can take it off, whereas a BIPOC cannot take their skin off. They cannot step out of that culture. So I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, look, well done. I mean, I don't know why I'm suddenly in the jury and judging
No,
this,
you're the moral compass for me.
No, yeah,
You
and the
are.
only other thing I would say is that particularly when it comes to music and everything like that, for so long there was sort of the worst trend of white artists finding cool stuff in Black culture and Black communities and passing it on.
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I mean,
I just
it's been
sneezed.
happening all the way from Elvis. Like, it was constantly, and there was always this dynamic, which can you imagine if you were a Black person, how frustrating it would be that there weren't necessarily those many Black breakthrough artists, but there were all these super successful white artists that were just sort of cherry picking things from the culture and taking it. And I think it's also like at the moment there's this acknowledgement of, okay, rather than just a whole lot of white people taking bits of this culture and popularizing it, we got to get Black voices, amplify them. So part of, I think, why at the moment we're saying just don't appropriate Black culture. It's because we're in a period of time where we're sort of saying, let's give the mic to them. Let's shine the spotlight on them reflecting their own culture rather than us sort of taking parts of it, stealing it, you might even say.
And basically, the next time you go to dress up, just ask yourself, is the thing I'm popping on, does it have huge cultural significance, and am I reducing it to a fun costume? I think if we're asking ourselves that question before we get dressed every day, I think we won't end up as Adele has, who was, yes, well-intended, but unfortunately,
it's also as well this incredibly febrile time that we're in. I mean, what a weekend for this to pop out. We've got the race riots still blazing in America. It is such a hot election issue. And then plus it was the death of Chadwick, all of these sort of things. It was for a little Monday morning light little post from Adele. It's probably not what the doctor ordered.
Yeah. Look, she's not going to get cancelled. I think she has a lot of great runs on the board with the Black community. I think a lot of the tweets I was reading, Black Twitter, like they're very funny. They're just exhausted.
They're so funny, and that's another part of it. They are the amount of really quality, hilarious little memes and clips they made within about 15 minutes. And this is also a bit of a tension release after months and months of just relentless pain.
Yeah.
And Adele has provided that for them.
Yeah, I'm not reading a lot of anger. I'm reading a lot of, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed, Adele. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm reading a lot of, oh, God, no, what now? Come on. Like, it feels like that. Like, it just feels like, oh, come on, Adele. Oh, good. Now, before you go, let's move on to another fun topic.
Yeah.
God, we've really gone for it today. There's mass hysteria over the lockdown extension. And the fact
Well, there's
that
no
Dan,
lockdown extension yet.
Sorry, I'll rephrase that. There was mass hysteria over when Dan thought it was a good idea to announce that he would like the powers to hold the state of emergency for another 12 months.
Yes.
And I have received so many messages and so many links to videos of conspiracy theories. First of all, I want to categorically say, if you send me a message on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram, hear me now. If you send me a message that says coronavirus is a hoax, collectively I have about 600,000 followers online. I will name and shame you. I will put your picture with your name up online because I have had enough. Coronavirus is not, Michael. People still think it's a fucking hoax.
I don't even know how to respond to it. It's I really find it terrifying.
I don't understand. Do they think that there's some kind of bipartisan, that ScoMo and Albo have got together and said, let's just really fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Let's just send the country into the worst recession of all time. Let's push Victoria off a fiscal cliff. Let's just blame any death we can find to a made-up. I don't know.
I saw a great picture of a couple of nurses that were in full PPE holding up a sign that said, we're looking for COVID deniers because we would love you to come in and clean, like help transport bodies out, go into areas, no PPE required apparently. Please
Agreed. Come
to our most infectious zones and work for us. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
I agree. If someone is a COVID denier, I want them to go to a COVID ward without any PPE. That's basically how drastic it needs to get. But in terms of you and I have been chatting, and we feel it was a misstep by Dan to announce that he would be seeking the 12-month extension to the state of emergency. He didn't need to do that.
He didn't mean that he's going to lock us down for 12 months.
No,
it's just that things like the ability to legislate so that we can wear masks and all of that sort of stuff. But it was not great timing because we're really on the downward. We're on the home stretch now. Failing. I touch wood, but we're 76 cases or something today. We can see the end, and it was just not really what anyone needed to hear was a year of state of emergency. And frankly, even though I support an extension of state of emergency, even I am thinking to myself, oh God, I thought we would. Like, there's a chance we'll have a vaccine by then. Does it need to be a whole year?
But I think. And again, when I kind of said on social media, the state of emergency is not so that he can have, infinite power and, go around mandating things that are ridiculous. It's so that they can have agility. It's so that they don't have to, nothing can be politicized. Scientists can move fast. They don't have to wait for 2 weeks of arguing in Parliament because other politicians are deciding it's a good look for them for re-election or not. It's basically to speed things up so we can get on top of this thing. And people are genuinely, it was a huge, he should not have said 12 months out loud. It didn't need to be, I will never understand why he did that. And I understand people initially going, oh my God, because we are all fatigued. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that often is when you start feeling the worst, when it's so close, you can smell it. But he'll only do it if he needs to. He's not going to wake up one morning and go, I'm just going to fuck everyone over today and just tell everyone they're not allowed to wear pants. Like, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I'm dictator Dan. I just don't see him ever wielding the power in the way people seem to think he's gonna.
Oh, I know. And the response to it, like now, weirdly, Josh Frydenberg's doing a national tour going around saying, we demand to see the plan for when things are going to happen, which I don't understand that either. I don't. We all know that they'll start loosening up things as soon as it's safe to do so, and they need to react to the numbers. I don't see why. Like, we're still a fortnight out. They've announced this morning they're gonna give the roadmap on Sunday.
So look. Before I was forced to explain cultural appropriation properly, not even properly. I was trying to do it in a helpful way. I want you, in only the way you can, to succinctly and calmly explain to people why the state of emergency extension is required. Go.
Well, because the state of emergency, if we're in a state of emergency, they have the power to quickly impose rules. For example, rules that if you're infected with COVID, you have to isolate. That's a rule that we can only have under state of emergency powers. And obviously we need those rules to be in place. Otherwise, as much as we would all like to believe everyone would do the right thing, they won't. We need fines, we need rules. Same with masks. The power to mandate that everyone wears masks is under state of emergency rules, and they need to hold them in place. That's why.
And that's it. There's nothing sinister. And all these people, we need to open borders. We need to get the economy turning over again. You don't think Dan wants that? You don't think we all want that? We all want it.
I tell you what I don't want, though. The other thing I don't want, after battling through this second lockdown, and we've done so well. It's been it's worked. It's going down. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
If we fuck this up at the last moment and go too early when we could have just clamped down that little bit harder and killed this.
Well, we're no better than Adele in a Jamaican bikini in Bantu knots.
I would argue
Really?
we're worse. I mean, I should just speak to the Jamaican community before I make that assessment, but
Jesus.
I know. It would be ridiculous to do that. Come on, we've come so far. We've come so far.
Come on, guys.
It is like we are little kids that have been on a long car ride, and like it's just like that.
Yes.
And we've got like someone behind the wheel. Come on, we'll just play another game of I Spy. And they're like, no, I can't take it anymore. Stop. Let me out on the side of the road. We're all going to feel much better if we safely get to the destination.
It's true. It's true. All right, now I just want to let you know I've started watching a show. I'm going to let everyone know it's on Stan. It's called Love Fraud, and it's amazing. It is a documentary series about one guy who had about 20 wives, and I've just watched the first step, only in America, of course, and they've just introduced the lady, I'm just going to say this sentence, the lady bounty hunter.
What? Okay, that's a brilliant teaser.
He lied to the entire world.
And then he disappeared. Rick, you lied, suck it. We're coming after you.
I want to help. Richard Scott Smith is on the run. He has a whole list of different aliases, social security numbers. He's good at what he does. Nobody is going to be active on the streets looking for him, except us.
This is a whole game. I mean, he's been doing this for years. The best way to get over a guy is revenge. I'm sorry, it is.
Is that like one of the wives has commissioned this woman to go and figure out what's happening?
All the wives have found each other online. There is a support group now for his ex-wives.
Tell
who
me
he
what,
married all at the same
20?
time. At the same time.
That is a masterpiece of time management.
Yes, that's what I was like. Like, honestly, different names, and it's the same MO. Like, he's got all the right moves. That he meets them all online. They're all in their like mid-40s, divorcees, and he says, "I'm coming into millions of dollars through a legal settlement. So can we just buy a house and a car now, and I'll spot you when I get the money in a month."
Oh, man.
And so they all went to the police, reported him as a what's it called? A bigamist? No, what's someone who marries multiple people at once?
Poly.
No,
I don't know.
what's the
I'm
word?
a writer.
Oh, you're a writer. Google it.
Polygamist, isn't it?
Polygamist, yeah. And no, but what's the word? It's illegal. What's the legal term for having more than one wife?
I don't know.
There's a legal term. Anyway, bigamist?
Okay, maybe.
Bigamy?
There we go. We got another.
Live Google. It's live Google.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, you are correct. Well done.
Yes.
Well done. Several triumphs today for you.
They tried to report him, and then one woman goes to the camera, unless you kill someone, they don't give a fuck. So all the women, she went online and she just put his name into Google, and then this website came up, and there was so many women like talking about him. They're trying to track him down. Now they've all banded together, and Stan are following them, tracking him down via the lady bounty hunter.
Oh, wow.
I mean, what more do you want? So I've only done first episode. I'm hooked. I love all the women.
I'm intrigued by him.
It's called Love Fraud, and it's on Stan. I didn't want to leave you guys today after talking about death and cultural appropriation and lockdown without some kind of silver lining. I'm also obsessed with Brad Pitt's new girlfriend who's in an open marriage.
Yeah, who looks just like a 25-year-old Angelina.
Mate, as a woman, if my ex, who I was in a bitter divorce battle with, started dating someone who looked exactly like me when I was in my prime, I mean, she's just going to have to find I want her to date a 20-year-old Brad Pitt lookalike. I mean, tit for tat.
They're out there. I feel like half the modelling industry these days is a 25-year-old Brad Pitt.
I'm all for her. I'm all
lookalike.
for Angelina, not that she'd need to, hiring someone. Like, fuck you, Pitt. But what I love is I Googled her and I've gone down into the depths and the realms, and she's a model and she's got a child with a 68-year-old guy who owns a restaurant. And in fact, Brad and her met at her husband's restaurant.
Wow.
So she's 28, her husband's 68, and Brad is 58. So she likes a seasoned gent.
She certainly does. What an intriguing relationship.
Mate, the whole
pattern.
thing. I mean, sometimes when I need escapes from death and cultural appropriation and the lockdown, I do enjoy just keeping myself abreast of what's happening between Brad and Angie. And
I think you enjoy that even when you don't need escape. I think that's a primary concern of yours. There's had to be a lot going on in the world for you to suddenly say, what, a development with Brad and Angelina? Sorry, just can't focus on that right now. I can't even imagine what state. I'm terrified to think of what state you would need to be in if you weren't happy to click on that link.
Well, I've got a few. I'm also super obsessed with Reese Witherspoon's daughter, Ava.
Who looks exactly like her.
Exactly. And like Chella and I follow her. She's so cool. She is a cool, terrifying Generation Z. But, you know, I do have also another obsession with mothers who look exactly like their daughters. Like,
Well,
for instance,
that's pretty much you. And
yeah.
Chella.
Do you think? Well, not like to the extent of Cindy Crawford and her daughter. That is a crazy.
If Chella had different hair,
You reckon?
Chella does have a lot of Scott in her.
Lot of Scott.
Yeah, but her voice is certainly yours.
I know, it's so much fun when Scott rings and she picks up.
Oh, come on. He sometimes mistakes Chella for you?
Yeah, everyone does. Even my mum. Yeah, I know, crazy. So, if you guys are looking for something to do, go and watch Love, Fraud, and also just go and Google mothers who look exactly like their daughters. Gwyneth Paltrow and Apple look exactly the same. Oh, my God, that would be my specialty topic. It would either be RuPaul's Drag Race or mothers who look exactly like their daughters. All right, we better go. Thank you so much. It was a tough ep to do today, but I got to be in my bonnet about it last night, and I'm like, no, meaningful conversations about death. And then this morning I was like, cultural appropriation, and then I was so mad about all the craziness about the extension of state of emergency. I'm like, Michael and I are just going to have to talk about it all.
Well done. You've gone there.
I also want to put the caveat in that I'm not assuming you as our listener doesn't know all of this. A lot of the time I speak it out loud to process it for myself. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Just so, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want people thinking, oh, we know what a cultural appropriation is, Em. Don't be so fucking condescending. Sometimes, as you heard, as I was saying it out loud, I'm workshopping it for myself. So, of course you knew, but just in case you didn't or, you know, wanted a refresher. Because I don't want to be all condescending and like, oh, Em, fuck off. We know what it is. We've got brains. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Look, it's hard for me to process because our whole relationship is each other working things out for ourselves by articulating it to the other person.
Pretty much. And that's what this whole thing was. I needed to talk to you about death and I needed to talk about Adele. So we did it.
Yeah. The two massive developments of this past weekend that rocked out was Chadwick and Adele in the Jamaican flag bikini.
God. Oh,
Anyway.
God. All right. Have a good day.
Bye.
This is Emsolation.
Whew. Are you exhausted? You never know. Are you going to tune into Emsolation and get some kind of weird, in-depth discussion about eggs that go up women's vaginas? Or are we going to tackle racism and death and structural oppression? You never know. Isn't that the fun of it? I hope you got something out of it. Again, I don't want any of you to think I was assuming you didn't understand the concepts of, you know, cultural appropriation or any of the other things we discussed. It's just me honestly workshopping it through my brain with my best mate, with mics in front of us. And look, you may disagree with a lot of the things we said, and that's cool. I don't need to know if you disagree. Oh, my God. It's a bit of a dictatorship here. No, I'm joking, but don't at me. I'm doing my best to understand it all and go to sleep at night, you know. It's cool. We'll agree to disagree. If you disagree with me, if you disagree with Michael and you don't like the state of emergency and you think Dan's doing a bad job, that's okay. But you don't have to shout it at me online. It's just, We'll just agree to disagree. We can be friends still. We just won't, when we get together, we just won't talk about it. Okay? Agreed. All right. I've spoken enough. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. We'll check in again on Thursday. Whatever you're planning, do something nice for yourself. Wash your hair, change your undies. I don't know. My standards have really lowered in terms of what's something nice for myself at the moment. And, stay safe. Talk soon. Bye.